What is up, y'all? I'm Benjamin Outdoors, and this is my channel. Welcome back, y'all. So today I'm actually working on the F100 again. So we're actually going to be doing some brake work on it again because having some issues with it still stopping and releasing. And I'm also going to do oil change on it. So let's go ahead and get into that. So I flipped the truck around and I'm letting the engine warm up so I can do an oil change. But while I was doing that, I noticed that it was still violently shaking when I let off the clutch. And when you push the clutch back in, it would stop abruptly. So I'm pretty sure that one of the front calipers is still sticking. I thought it was going to be good after flushing it, but that's not the case. And I know it's not the rears because there's no fluid getting back there, so there's no braking capacity at all. That is partly, I think, because of the proportioning valve right here. That's what I didn't know what it was. So that controls how much fluid goes to the front and the rear brakes. So basically, so you don't have all front brakes or all rear brakes. And also the master cylinder was leaking in there, so I ordered a new one of those. I'm gonna see if I can try to fix the proportioning valve, or maybe just try to get the valve to open back up, or may take it apart, I don't know. But I know for a fact I'm gonna change both the front calipers because I wanna be safe. I wanna make sure this thing is in tip-top shape while it's driving on the road. But I'm gonna do an oil change real quick. Let's do it. So let's cut it off. Now I'm gonna do an oil change because that oil smelled like gasoline. But I did put a bunch of sea foam in there, so hopefully it went over the rockers, push rods, all that kind of stuff, and cleaned them up nicely. And now I can put some new fresh oil in there, and hopefully it'll be good for a while. Hopefully there's no more gas smell. I'm pretty sure the fuel pump was actually leaking into the engine. That's what I'm thinking. Hopefully it didn't leak past the pistons and seep into the oil that way, because that would really suck. That might have been just too rich, I don't know. Obviously, if you have too much fuel dumping in the cylinders, it can end up in your oil. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully it's just because the old stupid fuel pump. So anyway, let's do the oil change real quick. So I jacked the front left up just to see, and yeah, this wheel is what was causing it to almost stall. It's because of the stupid caliper. It won't release, I guess. I'm wondering if it's just the proportioning valve. There's no way. I think it's the calipers, because I think this one's fine over here. I'll jack this one up over here and see what it does. Yeah, this one is partially stuck too. It may just be the valve. So I may need to break that thing loose, take it out, clean it, all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Oof. Yeah, it smells like gas. Gotta get the oil filter now. You notice how old that filter is. I'm actually going to prime this filter a little bit at least, because it goes on almost vertically, so I can prime it. It's going to lubricate the seal a little bit. Probably pretty good. Oh, it's fresh oil. Let's crank her up. Check the oil. Perfect. It's literally dead smack on the top of the safe area. So I actually took the advice from my boss. He said slam on the brakes, like, you know, an emergency stop, and hopefully it'll break loose the proportioning valve. But look what happened. I can't even move this tire. It will not move. It's stuck. And as you can see, it's off the ground. But you tap this little pin. It's on the proportioning valve. You can actually spin it. It's not super great, but so I definitely think it's a proportioning valve that's keeping pressure on these for some reason. Here it is. Now let's see if we can break it open and see if we can clean it out. Okay, that was actually pretty easy. So I got it off. Looks like there's the brass plunger, and it looks like it's stuck maybe. So I'm going to probably soak this in some crap overnight and see if it budges. I'm actually going to try to tap that brass piece in there and see if I can get it to move. This one's moving now though. I can feel it bounce back up. So I'm still probably gonna let it soak in some stuff, see if I can get some of that crap out. So I'm spraying some degreaser on the top of the brass plunger. Then I'm tapping it to try to work it past it. Try to break up as much as possible. There's the plunger. About to clean it off and then wash it off and put it back in. So I got the proportioning valve right here. I just blew it out with air. And so I think it's good to reassemble. So the plunger looks a little rough, but I think it's still usable. You know, obviously if it doesn't stop right, then I will replace it, but I'm gonna finish assembling it real quick. Well, I just ruined a seal. I was trying to get it back in place, and I guess it stretched out a little bit too much. And so it wrapped around the shaft it was supposed to seal on, and it just ripped. So this is toast. Now I have to buy a new one. It's like $40. And I've already bought a new master cylinder. I've already bought like $25 worth of stuff in the back. And I really don't want to buy calipers, but hopefully new master proportional valve will be able to fix that. So it's 2 days later, and I got the proportioning valve, and I got the new master cylinder in. So we're gonna try to bench bleed this master, and then we're gonna put the proportioning valve in, and then bleed this system, and hopefully the whole brake system works as it should after that. So first, we're gonna pull the old master cylinder out, and there's that bolt right there that holds on the ram for the master. And then I'm going to pull the bolts out that are on the front of the master, right there, and on the other side as well. And I'm just gonna pull that whole thing out. Pull the master out now. There's the old master. Here's the new one. So, of course, all the fittings on these lines do not fit the proportioning valve and the master cylinder properly. So, I was actually able to use one of the old adapters right here, but I could not find an adapter for here. So I got some more steel nuts. So that means I gotta pull off, I think this one. So I gotta cut it right here and then reflare. Actually, I might be able to just use that flare because this side is damaged. So I'm gonna have to reflare that just to repair it. But this nut is good. I got this adapter for this nut. So this nut is going to spin onto this adapter, which will spin into the master. But I might be able to pull this thing back and just replace it with the other
steel nut and just flare it one time, which would be nice. The main front line is good. It bolts into here fine, and it bolts into the adapter obviously fine. And you'll be left with something like that. And then I'm gonna take it a reamer. So I'm kind of bending this loop out a little bit so I can fit the fitting through. See, like I'm gonna have to bend it out a little bit just to get it around that corner. Because I'll be able to bend this back, you know, pretty easily. It's not too big of a deal. Rather have to flare one less time. So get one of your nuts. So there's the new nut on that one. And let's make sure it threads in good. So it goes into the top of this proportioning valve. So that one does thread in there. But now next step is to, I think just put this one back on. And this one goes into the master. So yeah, I put this fitting right back on. Make sure it's facing the right direction, of course. And then you're gonna take your flare tool. Basically, I'm just gonna read through this, make sure I'm doing everything right, and then I'll get back to y'all. So when you got the tubing in there, it needs to stick up around the same height as the adapter flipped upside down. So after that, you're gonna put the adapter in for the right size tubing, and then you're going to stick the tool in here. Make sure it's centered. And you're gonna turn it down until it sits flush. Should look like that. And then I'm going to put the tool back on because this is a double flare. And you crank it down again. Boom. So I figured out I can't really bench bleed it because I don't have lines to be able to run back into the reservoir. So we're just gonna throw it in there and mess with it later. We'll just use a suction to suck as much fluid out as possible. So we're going to throw the new proportioning valve on. So hopefully it fits the same spot. Yay! Bolts line up. Now I'm going to start screwing lines in. Just bent it up a little bit so it didn't hit that other line. So I got everything installed. I'm about to hook up the brake pedal, throw some fluid in it, and then use the vacuum to suck while I pump the brake pedal to hopefully get out any and all air that's in the system. So I'm going to hook up the vacuum bleeder to one of the calibers, crack the bleeder open, and then start sucking fluid through. Hopefully I can get both the fronts done pretty easily. I'm going to also get in the truck and pump the brakes a bunch of times to try to bleed the master because I didn't bench bleed it, so hopefully that goes smoothly. And once both the front calibers are done, I'm going to move to the back and hopefully it goes good. And then after that, if I need any more bleeding, I'm going to get Morgan to pump the brakes and then I'm going to crack each bleeder. The fluid in the reservoir is going down. All right, I think I'm done with the front brakes for right now. Now I'm gonna move to the rears. I just poured some more in there. Let's see if we can get some out with pumping the master cylinder. So last night I had some issues with a few of the lines leaking because of the adapters. They didn't really work. So I ended up trying to find exactly what I needed for the steel nuts, and so I am going to go through there and replace the nuts that were leaking with the right size that thread into the master and the proportioning valve correctly. So this one goes into the back or the rear master, and this one goes into the proportioning valve for the front brakes. So just got to swap these two out, reflare both those lines, and then hopefully re-bleed everything and hopefully have no leaks. So I reconnected all the ones down there and reconnected all the ones up there, so we're good. So it's still leaking. So I'm pretty sure the mistake I made was doing double flares and not bubble flares. So basically, they got the instructions on here too, but you're gonna make it, I think, flush with the top here, and then you're gonna use whatever size adapter you need to push it down, and it'll bubble flare into this recessed area. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and hopefully that won't leak then. So I'm finally bleeding the brakes back here because the front brakes are good and the proportioning valve is working like it should. I finally got some fluid back here, but I found that I had a leak on this soft line. There's a crack or something, and so I had to spray some PB Blaster on it, and I finally got both those fittings on it. Down here broke, but this one up here is still being difficult because it's really rusty. So I'm going to probably work on the diff right now. I'm going to pull the fill plug out, and instead of pulling the third member, I'm just going to use this tool and suck out all the fluid down here, and then basically maybe throw the inspection camera in there and look, or just kind of go off the fluid, see what it looks like, and then just fill it right back up. So that's the plug. Looks a little rusty, unfortunately. That is not great. So I'm going to actually suck stuff out now and then use the inspection camera in a second. Uh-oh. We might not even be able to really look at it. We might not be able to get that. Yeah, I don't think we can turn it down enough to be able to reach down there because this thing is so long. Unfortunately, it's not possible. But I know it's dirty in there, that's for sure. Definitely looks pretty rough. No metal sparkles. No glitter. Second dump. Here's a third time. Hopefully there's not much more fluid in there. It's taking a while to get all this out because it's pretty thick. I reposition it and then it sucks for a second and then it's goes back to sucking pure air. So I'm pretty sure it's done.
So I wasn't able to get it full because I ran out of gear oil, but I'm going to go to the store tomorrow. I'm going to finish filling it up, and then I'm going to replace that brake line, and then hopefully finish bleeding, and maybe take this thing out for a test ride, maybe on the road even.
It's actually slightly longer, which is nice. So, just gotta throw it back together. All right, start bleeding it again. All right, so all four should be done. Let's go press the brakes to test and see how it feels. Oh yeah, it feels really firm. So we got Morgan out here helping me pump the brakes. So we're gonna get underneath and final bleed them and then go take it for a test ride. All right, pump it.
Okay, I'm holding. Yep, it went out.
Okay, pump it again. Okay, pump it.
Again?
No, we're good on that side. Let me go to the other side. So I filled both reservoirs up, and I probably need to paint it soon so it doesn't rust anymore. Probably should have painted it before I put it on, but there we go. Now we're gonna put the lid back on.
So that is actually going to be it for this video. I appreciate y'all watching. Until next time, catch you on the flip side.